Okay, let's unpack this. If you are one of the millions of people who have faithfully tracked every calorie, suffered through zero-carb weeks, or diligently tried intermittent fasting,
Hmm.
only to find that deep, stubborn belly fat refusing to budge.
Mm.
We know that frustration.
Yeah.
You followed the rules of calories in, calories out, but the results just aren't there.
It's an incredibly common scenario, and that frustration, it stems from a fundamental misunderstanding, or at least that's what the fascinating material we've gathered today suggests.
Right.
We've sort of been conditioned to believe that fat loss is simply a math problem. Cut calories, burn more, done.
Exactly. But the core premise of the material we're diving into, the science claimed behind the Sumatra Slim Belly Tonic, is that belly fat isn't just a willpower problem or a calorie problem. It is a profound, interlocking biochemical problem.
And that's what this deep dive is all about, really, dissecting that claim. Our sources argue that this failure to shift stubborn fat is intrinsically linked to three major systemic issues:
Right.
chronically elevated stress hormones, poor gut health, and a metabolism that's essentially kind of stuck permanently in conservation mode.
Right.
So the mission today is to understand how the proposed solution aims to reset these internal mechanisms, the ones that govern fat storage, digestion, energy.
How it works with the body, not against it.
Precisely. We'll look at these three biochemical areas one by one.
Let's start with the signal almost everyone is sending their body 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
Stress. The sources talk about this hidden connection between stress and belly fat.
Yeah, this is where human biology gets completely hijacked by modern life, basically. Cortisol, the main stress hormone, is brilliant for short-term survival.
Like running from a tiger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Historically, when cortisol surged, say you were being chased, it commanded the body to do two things: immediately access energy for running or fighting,
Makes sense.
and prepare for potential famine afterwards by storing every bit of fuel possible, just in case.
Which means specifically storing fat. But today, the predator is, well, it's that looming work deadline, the angry email, or just constant financial anxiety.
Precisely. And the body's ancient hardware. It doesn't know the difference between being chased by a tiger and fielding a stress-inducing text message.
So it reacts the same way.
It reacts the same way. Chronic low-grade stress means cortisol is persistently elevated. And research consistently shows this signals the body to store fat relentlessly.
And specifically belly fat.
Yeah, this storage is preferentially directed to the abdominal area, that visceral fat, because it's like easily accessible energy storage near the liver.
Okay, but here is the truly vicious cycle, though.
Yeah.
It's not just storing the fat. It's actively sabotaging the body's attempts to burn it later, isn't it?
That's the critical piece the source material really emphasizes. Chronic high cortisol dramatically slows metabolism. It increases cravings for quick energy sugars, salts, and critically, it makes those abdominal fat cells severely insulin resistant.
Wait, why specifically the fat around the belly? Is there a reason for that location?
It seems to be because of the density of cortisol receptors there. Those cells are just more sensitive to that signal.
Okay.
And if these fat cells are resistant to insulin, they are essentially locked doors. Insulin's job is to unlock cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy.
Right.
If the abdominal fat is resistant, the body can't efficiently access or mobilize that stored energy, which means even if you cut calories, your body refuses to burn that central reserve. It thinks it's still needed for survival.
So if we can't just stop the emails and the deadlines, the solution presented in the source material involves things like natural adaptogens, plant-based compounds.
Yes. The argument is that adaptogens, things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, maybe others, don't eliminate the stressor, but they modulate the body's reaction to it. They help to balance cortisol levels.
Ah, okay. So it's about the response.
It's about the response. The logic is simple, really. When the internal alarm is lowered and the nervous system is calmed, the body stops feeling the need to hoard fat, theoretically.
And it's finally allowed to start utilizing those reserves.
That's the claim.
That concept of making the body feel safe enough to let go of fat, that's incredibly powerful. Let's pivot now, because here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The ecosystem inside us. We're moving from external stressors and hormones to the gut microbiome.
Yeah, the gut microbiome, often called the silent saboteur when it comes to weight loss, because this entire ecosystem of bacteria dictates far more than just digestion.
Right, it's involved in everything.
It regulates immunity, mood, and fundamentally your metabolism and how efficiently you extract energy from food.
We know a healthy gut helps by regulating key hunger hormones, things like ghrelin and leptin. But what happens when that balance is destroyed? Say, by poor diet, antibiotics, or even that chronic stress we just talked about.
You enter a state called gut dysbiosis. That's basically the bad bacteria taking over, upsetting the balance, and it sabotages metabolism in, well, a couple of main ways, according to these sources.
Okay, how?
First, dysbiosis leads to chronic low-grade inflammation in the digestive system. And this inflammation acts like physical traffic, blocking crucial metabolic pathways and inhibiting fat-burning signals.
So the body is basically inflamed from the inside out all the time.
Exactly. And second, the wrong mix of bacteria can interfere with the signaling of your hunger and satiety hormones, ghrelin and leptin.
Ah, the ones that tell you you're hungry or full.
Right. When these are out of balance, your brain is constantly getting faulty signals, always feeling hungry, maybe never feeling truly satisfied, which leads directly to overconsumption, potentially.
And this directly impacts the stubborn fat we're focused on, the belly fat.
Yes. Dysbiosis is strongly linked in the research literature to slower fat burning and, most critically, the accumulation of visceral fat.
That deep stuff.
That deep, metabolically dangerous fat surrounding your internal organs that, yeah, traditional calorie-cutting diets seem almost powerless against sometimes.
So the tonic's claimed solution here is a targeted approach. It uses probiotic and prebiotic botanicals. Is this merely about adding good bacteria, or is it claiming something more fundamental, like a repair?
It's claiming more of a repair job, actually, especially emphasizing the prebiotics. Probiotics add bacteria, sure, but prebiotics are specialized fibers that specifically feed the existing beneficial bacteria you already have.
Helping them grow back stronger.
Helping them rebuild colony dominance, exactly. The goal stated is restoring microbial balance to reduce that systemic inflammation, heal the gut lining potentially, and make the body vastly more efficient at breaking down nutrients and, crucially, accessing stored fat.
So the claim is that a healed gut makes that stubborn visceral fat accessible for energy utilization, maybe for the first time in a while.
That's the argument being made, yes, that it unlocks access.
All right, let's move to the third component, metabolism itself. The source uses a brilliant analogy, I thought, comparing metabolism to a fire inside your body.
It's a perfect visual for why traditional dieting often backfires. When people drastically cut calories, the body interprets that deprivation as famine, right?
Yes, starvation mode.
Starvation mode. So the metabolic fire shrinks dramatically. Think of it like turning a furnace down to a tiny pilot light to conserve fuel. Energy expenditure plummet.
And that is why, when normal eating resumes, the body's lowered baseline means the stored fat comes back so quickly, often with interest, as they say. The classic rebound effect.
Exactly. That's the dreaded trap.
So how does this tonic claim to work differently? What are these metabolic boosting ingredients supposedly doing biochemically to prevent the fire from shrinking?
Yeah.
Or maybe even turn it back up?
Well, the argument presented is that instead of forcing deprivation, this approach uses specific ingredients to flip internal cellular switches that prioritize fat burning.
Okay.
And a key one they focus on is boosting the activity of AMPK.
Let's slow down on that acronym AMPK, because the source material highlights it as critical. What is its function in the body? What does it do?
Okay, so think of AMPK as the cell's master ignition switch, or maybe a governor for fuel use. It stands for adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. Bit of a mouthful.
It is.
But when this enzyme is activated, it essentially signals the cells, hey, we have an energy demand right now. Stop storing fuel and start oxidizing burning stored fats immediately.
So it shifts the cell's priority from long-term storage mode to immediate burn mode.
That's the idea. It's about maximizing the body's inherent machinery for fat burning, rather than trying to force it through starvation signals.
Interesting. What is the second key mechanism the source claims to utilize? There were a few, right?
Yes. The second one circles back to improving overall insulin sensitivity. We established that high cortisol can cause local resistance in the belly fat.
Right. The locked doors.
But fixing systemic insulin sensitivity allows the body overall to effectively use glucose for immediate energy. This prevents that glucose from being quickly routed and stored as new fat.
So less fat stored, more fat burned by that AMPK switch being active.
Potentially, yes. That's the biochemical logic presented.
And finally, there was liver support. Why is liver detoxification mentioned as essential for this metabolic reset?
Well, the liver is absolutely indispensable in fat processing. It has to break down fats, package them, decide what to do with them.
It's central command for fat.
Pretty much. So if it's bogged down by toxins, whether from the environment, maybe processed foods, or even just metabolic byproducts, its ability to efficiently break down stored fat for energy can be stalled.
Like a bottleneck.
Exactly.
Okay.
So by supporting liver detoxification, the source claims you are essentially removing those internal roadblocks, allowing the body to maintain the high, efficient metabolic rate needed to support active fat burning.
This is a complex picture, but it's compelling when you lay it out. If stress is managed, the gut is healed, and the metabolic switch AMPK is flipped on, the body theoretically transitions from fat hoarding to fat burning.
That's the hypothesis put forth.
We'll just quickly reflect again on why traditional diets failed based on this model.
They failed, according to this view, because they interpreted deprivation as starvation. The body fought back instinctively, increasing stress hormones, slowing the metabolism right down to protect itself. Traditional diets force the issue and work against your internal biology.
Okay, but I have to challenge the source here slightly, or at least ask for clarification. Many established weight loss methods, things like high-intensity interval training or even intermittent fasting itself, also claim to activate AMPK and improve insulin sensitivity. We hear that a lot.
That's true.
So how is the approach presented here, using these specific botanicals in a tonic, fundamentally different than just, say, starving yourself for 16 hours or training until you nearly collapse? Aren't they hitting the same targets?
That is an excellent and really necessary distinction to make. Yes, intense exercise and fasting can activate AMPK, no doubt about it.
Right.
But crucially, they often do so alongside massive increases in cortisol, because intense exercise is a stressor, and ghrelin, the hunger hormone, because you're depriving yourself.
So it's a mixed signal.
It can be a mixed signal, a temporary gain potentially paired with overwhelming internal stress signals telling the body to conserve elsewhere. This approach, however, claims to activate AMPK and improve sensitivity while simultaneously aiming to reduce cortisol through adaptogens and heal the gut environment.
Ah, so it's trying to create a supportive, non-stressful internal environment for fat burning.
Exactly. It is about trying to balance the entire system, not just isolating one pathway while potentially stressing another. That's the differentiation claimed.
That context makes the reported results listed in the source material. Noticeable belly fat reduction, improved energy, better digestion, less bloating, stable mood, feel more like potentially connected biological outcomes rather than just like superficial claims.
Precisely. You might have less bloating because the gut is claimed to be healthier, better energy because glucose is being utilized efficiently, perhaps lower cravings because stress hormones and hunger signals are better managed. The core promise here is sustainability because the underlying biology has allegedly been reset to prefer burning fat.
Okay, that brings us nicely to application and the bonus tip provided in the source material. They explicitly state this isn't a magic bullet.
No, definitely not.
It's something that works best when combined with key lifestyle factors. Why are things like gentle movement, hydration, and sleep so essential to support this kind of profound biochemical reset they're talking about?
Because you can't repair the engine and then immediately try and clog it up again, right? Think of the tonic, hypothetically, as fixing the internal machinery.
Okay.
But if you maintain high levels of external stress through, say, chronic sleep deprivation, you are constantly triggering the very cortisol you were trying to balance with the adaptogens.
So sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's presented here as a non-negotiable biochemical requirement for hormonal stability.
Absolutely. Lack of sleep is a massive trigger for cortisol increase.
Right.
Similarly, the source emphasizes gentle movement, like walking or yoga.
Not hardcore workouts.
Not necessarily, no. Gentle movement helps reduce stress hormones and can improve peripheral insulin sensitivity without triggering that high-intensity stress response that the body might confuse with a danger signal.
Which would just elevate cortisol again.
Exactly. It's about creating a holistic, supportive environment for the changes to take hold. Consistent hydration supports detoxification pathways, too. Everything works together.
So what does this all mean for the listener? If you've tried every traditional weight loss method, keto, intermittent fasting, high-intensity routines, and that belly fat still lingers, the core message, according to the source material, is that maybe the problem isn't your willpower. It might be your internal biochemistry responding rationally, in a way, to chronic distress signals.
And that really shifts the entire conversation, doesn't it? From blame or failure to activation. The opportunity, as presented, is to actively work with your biology, to try and create an internal environment that feels safe enough and efficient enough to release stored energy naturally.
I think the most powerful takeaway here, maybe the next step for someone listening, is to dive deeper into those specific mechanisms we touched on.
Yeah.
If you want to keep exploring how your body actually works, Spend some time researching the role of AMPK, that cellular master switch we discussed,
It's fascinating stuff.
and look into the critical link between the gut microbiome and the storage and accessibility of dangerous visceral fat. Understanding how those internal switches function, theoretically, is key to making biology work for you, not against you.
Focus on the internal mechanics, the biochemistry, and the rest potentially might just follow.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Until next time.